All right, Pisces, let's go. We're going to start with you and run backwards through the zodiac. I went to a randomizer and I wanted 12 unique signs and I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, wait, I think I see this one multiple times. First I noticed it didn't have Libra, but it had Aries twice. And then I noticed it had Leo twice, but it had Cancer. I don't know what other sign wasn't there. So I tried to randomize this. I wanted to start with Pisces, but I didn't want to start with Pisces because I'm a Pisces sun and Mercury. But I was like, I don't want to start with Pisces first just because whatever. But I was like, you know what? We'll do it. Start with Pisces, run backwards through the zodiac. We won't make this difficult. I am using the La Fruma Healing Oracle deck. The reason why I'm doing that is because it's like the cloths are real shifty today. So yes, I just received my La Fruma Healing Oracle deck. I think one of the things that sort of really stand out, I guess that's when I read it. When I read multiples, it'll be like imagery and numbers that speak. And so I might not necessarily get into the poems, but I'll feel it out as I go. Um, I have a few companion decks off to the side. I have the Yggdrasil Norse Divination cards, the Crow Tarot, and the Runic Tarot. Um, I'll use the La Fruma with an Yggdrasil and then the Crow or the Runic Tarot depending on the vibe. So, Pisces, you are the first for me. I'm not going to go through and do the unboxing because I'm not great at showing every single card. I guess I don't have the patience for it. I'm like, let's just use these things and see what comes up. I'm sure someone else in the team will do that, or someone else who receives the deck will do that. So, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. I forgot the ba-ba-ba and just went ba-ba-ba, ba-ba. What happened to the ba-ba? Anyway, what happened to the ba-ba Pisces? Are we going to find the ba-ba Pisces? So the Fruma for Pisces. I'm also recording these with sound, so you know. I had to make sure. All the decks are pre-shuffled, but I'll shuffle them again. Ooh, New York. A new destiny? A budding destiny. A budding destiny is interesting because it feels like an offshoot of something that you are already doing. Because it's a bud. There we go. Someone very smoothly just flipped right over. And it's Jer or Yer. Let me use my handy dandy. I don't want to spoil everything because it came with some nice surprises. Um, but there is a short pronunciation guide in the beginning. Long E is year. I'll say year. So we're starting with year, which is year in harvest, I believe. I love how like floral it is at the top. It also feels like it's like sort of coming down from the heavens. Bottom of the deck for you, Pisces, is, and I'm using my God of War cloth map as the reading cloth because it has runes on it. Wacken, waken, and originate. Ooh. Is this 2023 question mark? The year of Was. Can you see this? I'll move this over a little bit so I can hopefully get both of them in frame. Wask and it fell. Wacken is number 69. Was is number 46, or Was. Yer is number 12. I don't know if I'll be able to get both of these. There we go. 69 is interesting because it's a mirror. It is it is a mirror of itself, or it contains a mirror within itself, but it's not necessarily uh, um a horizontal mirroring. I think that's a horizontal mirroring. It's a vertical mirroring where it flips. And I know this came out when I was using the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. Because it was like, we know how to do this mirror, but there's something about this mirror that contains some kind of like something about this kind of flipping rather than like this flip that we were learning to master. This coming off of the new destiny or the budding of a new destiny is very interesting. This makes me think it's almost like, because this is harvest, right? It's almost like there's been this entire life cycle of plants for a year. And in next year's harvest, or maybe as you're harvesting now, since we are still, I think, in harvest season, kind of, sort of, technically, um, it's almost like you're going to be harvesting, and you'll notice something's like different. It feels like something was cross-pollinated, and you didn't even necessarily realize it. So I don't know if it'll be in the next season when things sprout up, or if you'll notice it in your current harvest, or if it'll be an energy that lives in both. It's almost like something hybridized or something, and it makes me think. I looked up in the Runic Tarot. I was looking for something in the book, and I ended up on a page for the court cards, and it mentioned that bind runes, that they don't specifically mention which runes go into the bind runes for the court cards, because the bind runes are meant to be read as a single rune. And so it's almost one of those energies where it's like it's greater than the sum of its parts, but it's almost like, well, why is it so important to not know what the bind rune is composed of? And it doesn't necessarily feel like one of those, like, this is done for protection, and if somebody knew what the bind rune was composed of, then they can undo your protection, and, it doesn't feel like that. It's almost like if we knew what it was composed of, we would focus too much on its components and not what it does as itself, right? Like, you are made of the genetic material of your mother and your father, but you are your own person. Sure, you might have qualities from one of them or both of them, and the mixture might be different or whatever, but you are your own unique individual. Sure, maybe that's where your information comes from, and that's your default sort of like translation and transcription of genes, but it feels like there's more. So now we're going to get us someone, I need somebody to help me come and turn my life around. Who would like to co-sign, validate, or steer this message? I'm recording this so I can like pause it if I need to, like if I want to read a book. And again, like, hopefully it's in focus enough that if you want to like take a screenshot, if I don't read the poems as the cards come out, I might. Again, I'm sort of just like going and flowing with it. There are so many layers the poems add, or there are so many layers, We'll see. Okay, there we go. It's Brock with Gersimi and Nos at the bottom. Treasure, Beauty, and Design at the bottom of the deck. Look at the year, or the GER in Gersimi. There you go. Focused. And then here's Brock, Master Craftsmanship and Diligence. One of the dwarves, one of the Holdren brothers that crafted Mjolnir, I'm pretty sure. Something that needs a little bit of dwarven ingenuity. Interestingly enough, I'm feeling the the runic tarot for this. Something about putting things together. It's not necessarily its natural form, but it is naturally sourced, right? Like the ores, the minerals, all of those precious things that come from the earth, but through the smelting and forging process, they are combined in different proportions to emphasize different properties, to have a different weight or a different lightness, or to have be forged into a certain shape for a certain purpose. Naturally based and sourced, but taken a little further. I'm gonna put him up here. I'm trying not to put anything in in a shadow, and I know the camera angle is a little, you know, it's not perfect, but it's fine. If I started fighting with the camera, I'd be fighting with the camera all day. There we go. I'll just move this down a little bit. But yes, hopefully you can take a screenshot and read the poems if I don't read them. Also with this master craftsman, I almost wonder if you are the craftsman or if you are the material, Pisces. It seems like a lot of times the answer is both. You are both the craftsman and the material being crafted. But again, that almost speaks of, it's almost an epigenetics, but it's like, again, just because you are the child of your parents does not mean that you are not yourself a unique individual. Like, you are your own entity. The magician comes out with the Wheel of Fortune. One plus 10 is 11, and this is 12 if you want to do But since this is in Roman numerals, this is actually a 9 energy. Because I followed by X is 9. If it was the Wheel of Fortune and then the Magician, it would give us that 11. Brock is also the 7th figure in the 7th realm. So there's a master number 77 energy here. 7 is a very spiritual number. But it's almost like it's spiritual because it's about opening up to deeper understandings. Right? With it feels like up until we find harmony at 6. But the harmony that we find at 6, it's a result of the more sort of base 3D in our face, tip of the iceberg sort of understanding of the world and how things work. At 7, we start to get into deeper, more subtle, energetic, spiritual, more background influences. And as we start to explore those, the depth of our understanding increases to a magnitude that we wouldn't have necessarily been able to get without that understanding. But it's almost sometimes too, it's like, how much of the background information do we need to know in order to operate something? Right? So we don't have any bind runes here, but going back to the bind rune, it's like, how much of the individual components do we need to know to understand what the rune is? How much of someone's parents do you need to know to understand who they are, or to be open to understanding who they are? And then to understand someone's parents, you would have to go to their parents. And it's almost like this thing that would never end. And that's almost the lure of the rabbit hole that comes with that 7 sort of energy too. because at some point it's like it never ends, or it all originates in a place that is far bigger and grander and far more complex yet simple than we have the capacity to understand. But it is in the pursuit of that understanding that our knowledge deepens. And so there it comes, it feels like the wheel of fortune is sort of bringing in a balance. It's almost like knowing enough to move forward, but not needing to dig so deep that you get stuck, mired in the details. I believe this is the rune for mankind that he's pointing to in the Magician. And it looks like the word rune, which is the card back on this Wheel of Fortune. See? Right down? That's the card back. The Magician and the Wheel of Fortune. Going back to that, you are both the craftsman and the material. I feel like that's evidence between the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune. The things that you set forth, do, the intentions that you bring, every element that you bring to the table. It's like the Norns, the Sisters of Fate, are using that to weave you something new. But it feels like their weaving is more of the background. And that's kind of sort of what the Wheel of Fortune can be sometimes. It's changes and shifts that are so great that they are completely outside of our control. We can influence the direction that a wheel turns in our own personal lives in some way. And regardless of the direction that the wheel turns in, we can always make our own choices and decisions, or sort of take matters into our own hands with the Magician. So these are two things that can just as easily work against each other as they can work with each other. The difference is usually in perception, or how we feel about the changes that are happening. If we feel the changes are good, we roll with the punches and we act in alignment with those changes, and we make the good even better. If we think that the changes aren't that great, well, either we can be sort of inundated with the not greatness of it, and we can do things to make the not great even worse, or we can do things to make the not great at least decent or bearable. But in the same breath, when the wheel turns in a way that is very fortuitous, we can do things to not welcome that fortune into our lives. We can fight or flow with it either way. But it feels like the sisters are in this space of waiting for us. So there is no fight. There is no fight or flow, because we are the ones that determine the moving of this wheel. And if we don't make a determination, then the wheel won't move. It'll stay where it is. I'll read Brock now. The seventh of the seventh realm. Hold up. Hold up. I think I made a mistake. Have I really gone this long without... Yeah, he's the seventh of the sixth realm. I've gone this long without... He's not even the seventh of the sixth. Hello, is he the sixth of the sixth? He's the sixth person in the sixth realm. I don't know how I got 7 and 7. I added one. I added the Magician to one side and then the Wheel of Fortune to the other. They're both numerological ones. Okay. He's the sixth of the sixth realm. Which is even more interesting. So he's this, because this would be either 66 or 99 if it wasn't self-reflecting. So this Wacken would be Brock. But it's almost like, because Brock takes the position of the master craftsman, for us to be both the craftsman and the material, the thing that the craftsman works on, it would be flipped. That flip within the same number is us sort of being both. And it's in the, I think they're Arabic numerals. And that number system, 69 and 96 are the only two numbers where we really sort of see that. It also happens in 88, but in 88, it's less evident. Who's to say if it actually happened or if it didn't? Brock. Brock is a blacksmith, the best there is. He is the brother to the dwarf Sindri, and together they made many of the magical treasures worn by the gods. They made Draupnir, Odin's self-replicating arm ring, and Brisingamen, Freya's necklace. They also made the magical but ultralight fetter that Tyr managed to tether the ferocious Fenrir Sulfur with, in which process he lost his arm. His name suggests that he is always on the move, never in a standstill. In the spread, he represents mastery in making things and diligence in work ethic. The work, and doing it well, is its own reward according to Brock, and his presence in the spread comments on work ethic, either for the seeker or in the seeker's environment. The card is a reminder to keep moving and working at something. That work begets work. So this is actually, it's interesting for you Pisces because it brings in this energy of increased momentum. This will not stop. Bottom of the deck is the sun. Love the direction that it's going in. We also see the clouds parting. The rain, it's like the storm is over now. I don't know why Christian music is in my brain today. It's over now. I feel like I can make it. The storm is over now. I feel like this is almost, it can be a little lofty, but it also feels, it's like, it feels like anyone who is very about self-expression, like where the way that you dress or the way that you adorn yourself or the way that you present yourself, the way that you express yourself in whatever media of or medium of expression you use, that's you being both the creator and the masterpiece at the same time. And so if you can do that with like the clothes that you wear and the music that you listen to and the whatever, like who's to say that you can't take that even further? But there's something within you that is awakening. I'll read Wacken because this is making me think of Bifrost energy, like a Bifrost bridge opening up. Day slides to night and back to day as we slumber and glide through clouds of gray. Wake up. So much room for yawning, sprawling, gloomy, slow, pointless, lifeless moments in time we call living. Wake up. Fall down and stumble, trip yourself up and look around. Wake up. Smash your way out of the illusion and wake up. See the soft rays of the sun that shine on the living Midgard. Awaken. Oof. It feels like there's a creative element within you, Pisces, that maybe you know is there and maybe you utilize, but it feels like there's a depth to it that will increase in maybe the coming year, because year is the card that came out for you. But also with harvest, yes, work does beget more work, and yes, the work itself can be a reward. It's almost like if there's a job that you work really hard to get, let's say it's like a dream job, or if there's something that you've worked really hard for in life and that thing comes with a certain amount of work, more often than not, it's work that you enjoy doing. So yes, the work begets more work, but when the work is something that you enjoy, it's almost like if you enjoy what you do for a living, you never work a day in your life. The work is the harvest. And since the work is the harvest will beget more harvest, just as the work will beget more work. And it feels like that's why it's the budding of this new destiny, because it feels like it's a new way for you to live life and interact with the world. And that's what gives this wheel the momentum that it has. It's almost like it's your ability to see the brighter side, or it's your ability. It feels like there's a double rainbow in this card, because there's this one here and then there's this one here, but they don't seem entirely connected. This one also feels like it swoops around. I mean, it could be Bifrost. That's why I read Whacking. And it feels like your key to this ever expanding, ever abundant, ever growing energy to this sun is an element of self-expression. Because there's some kind of harmony and resonance between who you are on the inside and who you are on the outside. And it feels like that's the as above, so below, as within, as without energy of this magician, but there's a harmony in between them. It feels like a perpetual self-motion generating more power type of thing. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope you're having a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that you give yourself the opportunity to be who you are now, and for life to be what it is now. And that there aren't any tethers or shackles of anything before this time that you would use to hold you back. If you want to turn those into reins and motivate yourself forward, hopefully in a healthy way, do that. But for those reins to be used as ropes to tie you back and to keep you from moving, I wish you anything and everything you need to not do that. And I will see you in the next one. Happy Lafruma-ing. 'Tis the season for the light to shine. And Pisces, you're driving a chariot of light. So, hey.